My name is Rafael Manriquez. I'm a Chilean songwriter, guitarist, singer.
Amor del alma, vengo a trobar este golpe.
My subject is the Chilean music, rooted in the folk music and the Latin American music. This subject is very, very wide, and the folk music itself is something that is very complex to define because it covers a lot of different styles. From Chile, one of the main rhythms of the center is the tonada, and this is a traditional one, which is called Aquí te traigo una rosa. I am bringing a rose for you.
Aquí te traigo una rosa, del campo la recogí. Aquí te traigo una rosa, del campo la recogí. La mata quedó llorando, como lloro yo por ti. La mata quedó llorando, como lloro yo por ti. Como que te fuiste, como que te vas, como que me quieres y no me quieres nada. Como que te fuiste, como que te vas, como que me quieres y no me quieres más.
This instrument is called Charango, and it comes from Bolivia. It was first created in Potosí, Bolivia, and it's also played in the folk music of Peru and the north of Chile and Argentina. This charango is used mainly in the Andean music as a soloist instrument, or also along with other instruments like these pan pipes coming from there. Before, it was made with a shell of an armadillo. There are some of them that are made with a shell of an armadillo. Today, that practice has been, forbidden, and they made with them with wood. Because my family was a very musical family. It is a musical family. So our first performances were family performances, where we prepared every child, prepare something to be the entertainers of our parents, our grandparents, and a whole group of people that will get together. We had a very, close family relationship while I grew up. Basically, every weekend we got together, and all the celebrations of birthdays or happy or sad events, where we were together. So the music was something that was very present in all this time. I remember that my first public performance, I was very nervous. I was 9 years old, and I performed in front of my class. I sang a song that was dedicated to Manuel Rodriguez, one of the fathers of our land. And it was tonada written by Pablo Neruda and Vicente Bianchi. Pablo Neruda, the poet, and Vicente Bianchi, a great musician. And I sang that, that. Folk is a word in English, that means people. Folklore, costumbres de la gente, custom of the people habits. But one important thing is that the folk music is not something static. For me, to say this is folk and this is not is irrelevant, because I think the folk music, after all, will live by itself. Because it's something that when a song becomes a folk song, canción de la gente, is because the people are the ones that keep that and sing, and they learn it, they teach it to their sons, daughters, and it's a music that doesn't die. The music, the folk music of Chile is kind of, you encounter it in the different areas. In the north, you have a music that is more related with the Andean music, which is a close relation with the Ecuadorian music, with Bolivian music, with Peruvian music, and of course instruments like the charango, like the quena, zampoñas, Bambo are in all that zone. In the center, we have something more directed from the Spanish culture, and mainly la cueca and la tonada, other rhythms like valses too, and using the accordion, also the guitar and the bombo. And then going to the south, this plus some regional influences, like in the south of Chile, where the presence of Mapuches and other Indian cultures are. It is also the influence of this part of the population. Guitarra, or the guitar, is the instrument that we mainly use for our folk music. Coming, as everybody know, from Spain, having a very long evolution, being an instrument of 4 strings, then 5 strings, then 6 strings, different tunings. It's very particular instrument that once it didn't have a very good reputation, according with the history that I have read, of the guitar. It wasn't considered a serious instrument until Andres Segovia started to play the classical guitar, then it was considered a serious instrument. I consider, it's a great, serious and happy instrument, this one to play the folk music. An important part of the traditional Chilean music is the payas, las payas. Las payas is a sort of competition between 2 singers singing short verses like in a dialogue. This is very humoristic, and also the payador has to be very well informed, because many times they ask the people to set the themes to discuss. The discussion is so wonderful because it's something that is based on fixed poetical styles. Like, for instance, a verse in decimas, which came from Spain, and it has a special order in the 10 verses and in the rhyme. So there are many styles that you have to use to compete, and that is the payadores, la paya.
Largo por fondo soñando, buscando el fuego, la nieve, me vino sobre los muros y me aclaró cuando llueve.
My performances with children are very interesting. It's something that is very spontaneous in me. try to tell them basically that the world is something very wide, and the habits and the customs of the people are very different, and that we should share them, and basically being very happy that we have so many differences in everything, in races, in customs, in foods, in all the cultural aspects. So I tell them, you know, that all these countries of South America exist. Colombia, for instance, what comes from there? Cafe, yeah, coffee, yeah, yes. You know, what Chile? Well, Chile is a lot of copper, you know, and I have to tell them, if we have different kind of products or things, we also have different kind of music. And I play for them a Chilean song, and I contrast with a little bit of a Brazilian song, or a song from the Andes, or a song from the Caribbean, and to basically, you know, teach them the world is so wide and it's very rich if we're open and we can learn, you know, from each other and live in peace. That is my posture for the children, especially at the schools.
Amor del alma y hagan lo mismo con yo.
I never was defined as a professional musician in Chile. In fact, you know, I was going to study at the conservatory, and I was accepted at the conservatory, but because relative pressure, and people that I really respected, among them my wonderful guitar teacher, told me, you know, what are you going to do with the music in your life? You know, I think it's great if you learn it, you know, and you play for your family or for your friends. But as a mean of life, it's a very difficult thing, you know, to live with. So I went and studied journalism. I only was for 2 years studying journalism, and then I realized that it wasn't my own path, you know. The one that I would take with all my love. I went to one of the main music labels in Chile. I brought songs that I wrote, and I showed that I could sing, and I started to record there. And I was doing pretty good, but it was stopped by a coup d'etat by the General Pinochet. And from there, I came to Ecuador, and for the first time in Ecuador, I was whole-time professional musician. While I grew up, I was told that the folk music of Chile was mainly the music of the center. And I heard this music mainly for celebrations of what they call glories of the army or the armed forces, you know. There is a view that presents, you know, this music as the most authentic folk music. But then it came during the 60s a very important movement in Chile that was called neo-folklore. The new folk music. The new folk music started to say, we're Chileans and we're not confined to the center. And there were a big movement with the support of the radio, yeah, to promote people that went and found different songs and brought it to the center, which is the place, is the area of the country where the population is more concentrated.